but I wanted to touch upon monetization. When you're
Mhm.
making decision, when the decision making framework where we talked about time, resources, money, operational challenges. How much is monetization, especially from a digital landscape, important to you? Like in terms of ROI and stuff. Like if you're one, it was. Are you valuing how many emails you captured? Are you valuing how much sponsorship you sold? Are you tracking other product KPIs, time spent, repeat visits? Like, how do you think about monetization, especially in
Yeah.
year one and now going to year two?
Everything that you just said, 100% all of the above. Of course, our digital partners very closely with our sponsorship team, and we're always looking at what are the new cool things that we can build.
Yep.
And even to share a story of how we partnered with LiveLike, we
Yep.
built Genesis Moment of the Match. So Genesis was one of our founding partners. We have Moment of the Match, and we brought that to life through LiveLike and the platform and an experience you all built specifically for us. And
Yep.
so, great example of partnership need, digital, how do they support, and then going to our tech stack and our partners and LiveLike was an easy candidate. And we, like the great thing was it was incredibly fast turnaround time and all things TGL.
Yeah.
And so that was also what made it so great because it wasn't like we were building something that required 6 months of dev work or 12 months of dev work. You guys were super just iterative with us, quick, nimble, fast, and we stood this up in a matter of 45 days, maybe even less, 30 days. And it was a program that ran throughout the entire season. So great example of how we're partnering with the partnership team and our sponsors and making sure we're bringing that to life from a monetization. Otherwise, when we look at database, absolutely, like, everything we do, we're putting in through the lens of, like, CPA, what's this cost per acquisition? And, again, going back to the meeting I just had probably about an hour ago now,
Yeah.
where it's like, what are we willing like, what's the value of the fan? And so those are questions that we couldn't answer in season 1. You
Yeah.
can't put a dollar sign behind a fan in season 1.
Yeah.
Now you can start doing that in season 2. You can start to say, the value of this fan, this is our golden fan, like, it's our golden record. Why is it our golden record? What data points do we have about this person that make them the gold standard, that make them worth X amount of dollars? So then you can start to make other monetization decisions on the basis of that. Well, if a fan that does XYZ is worth this much,
Yeah.
go ahead and put paid behind this. Go ahead and put a lot of other sponsorship dollars behind something to activate it more, to get it to more reach, because in the end, we know that we'll still have a profitable ROI on it.
That's, from how we work with our partners. Thank you for the shout out. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I know the team loved working with you guys, given how, it's always amazing when partners start coming with ideas on their own and we're not seeding them,
Mm.
or well, I guess we seed them, but we're not constantly responsible for coming up with more ideas. Then it's just a matter of like, hey, what, like, you're challenging us in terms of what our capabilities are and what platform our platform can support. But one of the things that I wanted to also talk about is, LA, for example, has leaned into the idea of community, maybe because it comes from their ownership group and Reddit and, Alexis and all of those guys. How much is community? I'll tell you a personal anecdote. I'm a huge Formula One fan. The only Reddit subgroup that I follow is the Formula One subreddit.
Uh,
But the amount of time I spend on it, I don't. I actually am scared to find out how much time I'm on that Reddit group, because there's so many topics and conversation. And obviously, Formula One is a established sport. There's fandom, and Netflix's Drive to Survive helped with it. How much do you guys think of leaning into the idea of community, especially as you start driving fandom from leagues to teams?
mhm.
Because that's where true community comes into play, is when you have sort of fandom to lean on.
Yeah,
This is more of a, open-ended question. I don't
sure.
know where you are with it, but
Yeah, so it's definitely something we're discussing for season 2. We don't exactly know where we're gonna land on it, and even think of it as like a scale of 5 being like the most, open community. You can say whatever you want, chat
yeah,
boards kind of idea, versus a scale of 1 is we're allowing you to play amongst your friends. And so,
yeah,
to use something like Match Predictor as an example, also something you guys built for us.
yeah,
So I know you weren't asking for the plug, but hey,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Match Predictor was wildly successful and we loved it. And it was great because it was truly one of the biggest goals for Match Predictor was engagement, is get people to come back and play more. And that's
Yeah.
something that after seeing the analytics, like, we have a lot that we get to learn from and do more of. But one of the ideas that came up recently was, do you like
Mm.
we can scale Match Predictor to be really big, like a
Yeah.
bigger grand prize that's more season long versus a smaller kind of week over week prize versus a prize amongst your friends. And that's
Yeah.
the community aspect that, you know, playing fantasy is one thing. Playing fantasy, at least for me, when I get to play fantasy amongst a friend group, it's
Yeah.
it's more fun. That's community, and I think the
Yeah.
world craves community.